5 years or so, what are we going to do if we don't have any energy? Most of our energy comes from fossil fuels. For example, 85% of it is made of oil, coal, and gas. We waste a lot of our energy, for example, maybe you turn the lights off, or why do you keep your air conditioner on when it's winter? These are some of the reasons on how we waste energy. 7 billion people use energy every day to make their lives more productive, healthier, and peaceful. Without energy, we won't be able to do many things. For example, how will we take a shower? How will we charge our electronic devices? And how will we cook? Even things we don't even think about, like food, is only possible because of energy. Food is planted, harvested, processed, packaged, and transported, retailed, and bought. And that all requires energy. Every product we buy also requires energy. Everything we do requires energy. But what are we going to do when we run out of it? In about 8 years or so, we will eventually run out of energy because we're losing so much of it.
How will the loss of energy affect people? Losing the amount of energy we have now will affect us and the environment in a really bad way. We will have limited choices of energy sources that we're going to be able to use. We won't have any electrons to waste our time with, or no more modern inventions. Using a lack of energy and not taking it as granted will greatly affect the people in a really harsh way. We won't be able to travel from place to place because the energy used to power the airplane won't even be here. And we won't even be able to drive any cars or vehicles because we won't be able to have the amount of energy needed.
It's hard to believe that 200 years ago our main energy source came from wood. Energy is essential to our everyday lives. What are we going to do when we run out of it? In 20 years, the world will need a huge supply of energy. What are we going to do in 85 years when we don't have any more? In the upcoming years, more people will have access to energy. That will have a huge impact on the society because in the future we won't have any energy left. Estimates say that fossil fuels will last up to 50 years, but others say it will last up to 100 to 120 years. The fact is that neither one of these predictions are helping us in any way. Nobody really knows when the last drop of oil or lump of coal is on this earth. It's hard to believe that 200 years ago our main energy source came from wood. In the 1920s, Americans only had access to 40% of the world's supply of energy. By 2035, scientists expect 1 to 2 billion of the world's population to be living without energy. Oil prices will keep rising because we are using so much of it. So if they higher the prices, then less people will buy oil. In the future, in the UK, we will roughly need 1,600 kW per person on transportation. We will also need 1,600 kW per person on heating, and 0.7 kW per person on computers, refrigerators, TVs, etc. We could use renewable energy like solar, biomass, wind, waves, tides, and hydroelectric. Reducing energy without causing climate change will be difficult.
And not only that, but society will completely change. Electricity will be going back and coming back again. The standard of living will decline, and not having the same amount of energy we have now will affect the prices and the lack of it. Like food prices and car prices or houses, they will all get expensive as time goes on. We all depend on energy. So look how when it's lost, how will our environment will completely change. How will energy affect our environment? Fossil fuels, coal, and natural gas all have some impact on our environment, and negative effects or positive effects. However, they have substantially have more harm than renewable energy sources. They cause water pollution, damage in our environment, and public health and habitat growth. The loss of energy will be greatly impacted. We have consumed a lot of energy now. Now there is a lack of pollution in the air, and with no more coal to burn or use, it will decrease the amount of pollution. And this leads to a really clean and healthy environment, but a poor country. The environment impact of energy industry is diverse, being harnessed by human beings before. And
how will the world react when we run out of energy? Firstly, because we use vast amounts of energies, it's eventually going to run out someday. In fact, 85% of the energy we use comes from fossil fuels. For example, Qatar has a lot of fossil fuels. It also produces oil and gas, and that makes it a really rich country. So the fossil fuel consumption rate depends on the standards of living of the country. For example, Qatar can afford a lot of efficient and really good energy sources. So that indicates the higher standards of living. For example, here in Qatar we have really high families and we have a really high standard of living. Because fossil fuels are going to run out, it's going to cause a social unrest. People are going to be so frustrated and impatient because now our lives are so simple and people are becoming lazy. So people are going to be frustrated because, for example, here we use the air conditioner. We won't have any of that anymore because we won't have energy, and it might cause a lot of fights and problems. And also the other thing is that everything's going to stop, from laptops to electronics. Like you might not even have iPhones in the future. So just hold on to it. Cars, there won't be cars anymore because there's no fuel. Even clean water, because it takes electricity to fertilize it and to make it clean for you to drink. We won't have that anymore. Fridges, our food is going to run out, and it's going to be really, really hard to eat. Who will it affect the most? It's going to affect us the most because nowadays children grow up and they're just given an iPad to learn from, and we won't have that anymore. It will also affect hospitals. Hospitals now are so advanced in technology and their equipment. It's so successful. It will also affect the operations. For example, if someone gets an operation, for example, they stay there for 6 hours. If there's a power cut, it might run out, and then it will decrease the success rates of all operations. It will also affect the traffic lights, because now, especially here in Qatar, they're depending on traffic lights. They're changing all the roundabout to traffic lights. We might not have that anymore, so people are going to be more responsible of other people's lives, and they're going to make sure that they take care of how they drive. Where can energy come from? It can come from a lot of ways. Firstly, if humans develop new ideas and inventions, then we can have something to replace energy. But if we don't have that, here are some ways. Space-based solar powers. It's basically to build a giant solar farm in space to collect energy. The sun, energy from the sun. The sun produces energy that every day that we use, that's even more than we use a year in the world. So that would be really good, but it's expensive. It's going to require lots of money. So that's why countries should come together and pay for it. Human power. Scientists are working on devices that may work with kinetic power and energy. Humans are the ones who power it. You can even imagine, maybe you can charge your phone by just rotating it. So the third thing is tidal power. Water is really, really, really famous, and it's an abundant source of energy, and it's completely cheap, and some people actually use it nowadays. Hydrogen. Hydrogen is also an abundant element. It's completely successful. It's clean, it's efficient, and it's renewable. And actually, Germany is aiming for 1,100 hydrogen stations in the end of 2015. So there are actually cars that power from water and hydrogen. And something else is also geothermal power. It's like geothermal power is energy from the ground. So yeah, they use that heat to make energy using a lot of equipment. And lastly, solar windows. In New Mexico, researchers just made a breakthrough that they can change the solar panels to double up to transparent solar windows. And if that happens, then we're going to have just converting electricity places everywhere. And that's going to be really good for countries here in Qatar because our houses are really exposed to the sun, so it would be really good.
Now, of course, you're wondering why are we running out of energy. We may or may not run out of energy. The problem is how we use it. People using a lack of energy and not taking it as granted will decrease the amount of it. Running out of electricity depends on two things: how much we use it and how much we produce. Yet, we can't control how much it's produced. Therefore, we can only control how much we use. They usually burn natural gas, coal, or oil to heat up a huge vat of water to make steam. After that, the steam turns a series of turbines which are connected to a generator. Therefore, the motion of the spinning turbines gets transformed into electricity. The problem is that coal, oil, and gas are gradually running out of and burning a huge amount of them, which causes global warming and natural effects. The electricity we need, which can damage the.
In conclusion, basically, in a nutshell, do not waste energy because we might really run out of it. And you can do it. You can do it by simple ways. For example, take shorter showers, turn off the lights, turn off the AC, and make sure that the doors and windows are closed to get the result and feeling you want when you turn on the AC. And lastly, just value energy because one day we won't really have it, and it's really important.